Hello, Bryte Church. Thank you for joining me for today's devotional, which I titled, It's All in the Little Things. The title of this devotional, and actually the whole topic, comes from a quote that I saw a few weeks ago on the hospital wall, which said, "It's always the simple that produces the marvelous." The quote is by Amelia Barr. She's a British novelist, and it got me to thinking about this phrase or this quote on a deeper level. I recognize that we could have many different interpretations or meanings to this quote, and it's hard to say exactly which of them she may have intended. But most are probably similar in many ways. Some of my thoughts on the topic are related to the fact that a simple thought, if acted upon, could produce something marvelous. Another way to look at it is that a simple yet repetitive task could end up in a fruitful, again, marvelous result. An example would be laying down some sort of a structure, one brick at a time, and at the end of it, you could end up with a magnificent home or some other useful and appealing structure. Another example would be that in preparation for some event, a series of small meetings, planning sessions that are simple in nature individually produce something grand or marvelous, again, as mentioned in the quote. And again, not knowing Amelia's thought process, not knowing the context within which this quote was created, it certainly still appears to me that it's biblically based, in part because she was a novelist whose novels were often published in different Christian literature journals, and also in part because there are Bible verses that in essence could mean a similar thing. And some of you might already be recognizing such a verse. The one that came to my mind when I first saw the quote was from Luke 16, verse 10, where we read, "One who's faithful in very little is also faithful in much, and one who is dishonest in very little is also dishonest in much." We can spend a lot of time discussing what it means to be faithful in little or in much, and we'd still have a hard time coming up with a consensus on what that really means. One of the biggest reasons for that is because it's different for each of us, given the fact that each of us has different callings, different gifts, different talents, different responsibilities, and obviously we're all in different stages of life. However, if we took that thought process a little further and read this next passage that I'd like to offer from Colossians chapter 3, 23 and 24, we see, whatever you do, work heartily, as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ. And again, after reading this passage, I think it becomes clear that it's irrelevant what we define as being little or what we define as being much. The point is, we're called through this passage and many others in the Bible to be faithful in whatever we do, and to be faithful before God, not necessarily only when we're in front of or observed by men. And regardless how simple or complex, how important or seemingly unimportant, how appealing or unappealing our responsibilities are within all aspects of life, we are simply called to be faithful in those tasks and those responsibilities, and the rest God will allow to go from simple to produce the marvelous. So may God give us all the strength, the patience, and the ability to do our part of being faithful in all that we do, and may He bless our efforts, as simple as they are, to produce marvelous for His kingdom and within every aspect of our life. Amen.